Hi. So this is my presentation for art history. This is my little buddy Fred. Just thought I'd introduce him since he was getting in my way. And I think I heard his sister, but this is Fred. Oh yeah. Oh, you coming in too? There we go. We got the whole family. They're nerds. Okay. Anyway, this is typically how my studying goes. So I'm going to take you through my day of studying, which usually is distracted by these kittens over here. So bear with me if I get a little distracted by the cute faces. Um, so when I first start off studying, I typically pull out my notes and I just start running through them and highlighting. Now I've already done that, and I've also already done my note cards. So we're just gonna go through the notes for now, and I'm just gonna talk about the differences of how each era is kind of, not exactly each era, because oh my gosh, that would take more than 10 minutes. We don't have that kind of time. Ain't nobody got time for that. So we're going to just do specific eras, okay? So we're going to start off with the prehistoric era. Now, excuse me, I tend to trip over my words a lot when I try to talk, so bear with me. Feel free to laugh. It's okay. I'm secretly laughing at myself, but since we're doing this in a one take, oh well. So, prehistoric. So we're going to start off with the Venus of Willendorf. Now, we all know what that one is, okay? She's this tiny little figurine. I think she's about 3 inches tall, right? So, oh my gosh, I wish I had one of these because I have little Buddha figurines in my house, and I adore them because they're so cute and chubby. And so is this Venus of Willendorf. Now, the reason that she's kind of chunky, though, is for, there's the toss up between, is it supposed to be for fertility, for fertility, or is it for, is it showing how the ideal woman is, or is it, for this is how healthy women looked to them. And again, it's prehistoric, so we don't really have a ton of how these people were thinking. I mean, we kind of almost degrade them in some ways because, it was so long ago. Are they really as smart as we are because we've made so many advancements? But, I'd like to think that they have a lot of the similar thought processes as we do. Just not necessarily as much technology as we do, and not as much discovery. I mean, things like that take time. So, going in after that, we have the no idea how to pronounce it, statuettes, essentially. Okay? They're these little statuettes. I would say they're probably about yay big. Now, you probably can't tell it because of the screen, but, about yay big. About a foot so tall. Now, I don't find that these really advance much just because, they're statues because, they're standing, and they're also carved in the round because it's a full figure. But they have thick ankles and thick legs just so that way the structure is more sturdy. So there's not a ton of advancement, I feel like. I mean, it's kind of good that they're standing, but I don't know. I mean, they were there for putting in temples, so they were a lot of times generalized. So they were mass produced so people could put them in the temples to try and trick the gods to think that they were there praying to them all the time, and I just don't think a god would actually be tricked by that, but that's just my opinion. So then, moving forward, we come to the Cycladic. Now, for the Cycladic, there's the man with the lyre, playing the lyre, right? I feel like we made a huge step back. Now, again, this is the culture differences. One culture might have been flourishing, while another one might have just been starting out. So this is kind of where it's the toss-up. Like, can you really compare the two of them? Anyways, so then in the Cycladic, they went to very simplistic geometric forms. Now, originally when I saw this piece, I thought, oh, this is just a carving of, a little rocking chair or something. No, this is apparently supposed to be a person. So, slightly embarrassed that I couldn't see that. But anyways, that's why we take art history, right? So that way we know these things. So anyways, it's very simplistic. So I feel like we really kind of stepped back from what we've been seeing as a moving forward. Going from the little statuette to something that actually stands on its own, that's a little bit bigger and can like hold itself up. Granted, this can hold itself up, but it's so geometric that it's hard to tell that it's supposed to be a person. It's not very realistic, so I'm not a huge fan of it. Now jumping way ahead past that, I mean, a plethora of cultures have gone on and a plethora of events have happened. But this is where I really think that we see the height of sculpting that we've ever really seen. I don't even think that we've had much of it even today. I feel like sculpting hasn't really been a huge art form that's been used. I feel like I've seen a lot more painting. Graffiti art is starting to become really huge. My t-shirt's a little bit like that. But I haven't really seen a ton of sculpting, which, I mean, is not a problem, but it's difficult for me to be able to compare how much we've changed from that, because in the Hellenistic period, from the Greeks, there's the Aphrodite, the Venus de Milo, right? That's hugely famous. I've actually seen it myself in the Louvre in Paris, France, and it's stunning. It's beautiful. And I feel like that was a huge change, because there was also, it's very appealing to the realism. They're very attention to detail and very aware of your natural form. I don't believe that you're naturally a size 0. I'm sorry, but I like food, and if I'm gonna eat, I'm not gonna be a size 0. Like, they want us to be in the modeling era, like right now. That's not what appeals to me. I don't want to see a little stick figure. I want to see something that represents womanhood. And I think the Venus de Milo really does that. And it's so fascinating because they also kind of did a similar thing back in Egypt with, there's essentially like a script master. He was literate, and that was a really big deal. But he wasn't idealized when he was sculpted. He was sculpted natural. So he had this like big round belly, just like Buddha does, which I absolutely love. And he's got this nice big round belly, and that is actually to show that he has some status and that he is wealthy enough to afford food to be that size. And I think that's really interesting, because that was hundreds of years before the Venus de Milo. So that's really fascinating to me. And plus, I mean, completely across the ocean. So, there must have been some sort of transfer of these ideas, and these morals and these qualities and such about depicting people. During the same time as the Venus de Milo, though, they also did the Old Market Woman. Now, this one I have so much praise for, mainly because there is so much tiny detail in the elderly. And now I love the elderly, don't get me wrong, but I mean, they're wrinkly, they've got veins, they've got ulcers. It's really fascinating how the body has changed with age. And I think that the Greeks in the Hellenistic period really were able to depict that, to really show this woman, just some random woman, I would assume, or maybe they just kind of did it off the wind, I don't know. But I mean, the level of detail, the attention of detail, the awareness of age and how it affects the body is so fascinating, and I think they really nailed it on this one. And I wish I could compare some of these things to more recent times, but unfortunately there's not a whole lot of sculpture that's been done recently. A lot of it's just been, very modernized, a bunch of shapes on top of it, or the giant spoon with a cherry on top of it. There's not a whole lot to compare it to, but I find that how much sculpture has changed has been really interesting, just to see even how the morals and the ideals have changed, which, I don't know, I find it fascinating. So, yeah, I didn't get distracted. That was surprising. So, signing off, everybody.